Excuse me for just reading this, but I want to be as concise as possible in this. This is on non-duality and what is a misguided Western approach to what that all means. There's developed in the West a common misunderstanding of the enlightenment that is pointed at by the great Eastern mystics. This misunderstanding centers around several famous statements by some enlightened Hindus and Buddhists. I shall go into detail about one of them and try to point out from where these enlightened mystics are standing when they make this statement. I am not my thoughts or feelings. I am not my body. I am that awareness in which everything occurs. Many in the West feel they are coming upon this enlightened state in the following way. They start with our ordinary awareness and ask, are we our thoughts, or are we the one who is witnessing the thoughts? Are we the thoughts we have of ourselves, or are we the one who is aware of these thoughts and images? Are we the sensations of our body and our senses, or are we the one that is aware of these feelings and sensations? When we say that I am aware of these things, is not this I merely more thought? Thoughts that cloud our clear perception of the awareness, which can remain in the absence of any self? Does this awareness have any distinguishing features that would make what I call my awareness any different from anyone else's? Is this awareness then not the one universal awareness in which all is contained? They then go on to claim that the Hindu revelation is merely this change in perspective. They treat this awareness as containing, in a sense, all of creation, unaffected by anything seen, as if it were the transcendent divine itself. This enlightenment, they feel, is the result of following the line of inquiry suggested by these Hindu mystics when they ask the question, who am I? The big mistake commonly being made in the West is thinking that this question of who am I is essentially addressed in their inquiry above. They feel they are ultimately being asked to see that there is no thing that is having this awareness. There are simply all of these phenomena occurring in this one universal, undifferentiated awareness. Notice that all of this is pointing to a new perspective. One is being asked to perceive that this is true. The limitation of this is that it is centered entirely in their head. Even perception is taking place in your head. You might be perceiving what is in the world, or in your body's sensations and in your feelings, but this perspective is still fundamentally happening in your head. Here they need to ask themselves, if they are not their thoughts and feelings, are they able to let these flow freely without any constraint, no matter how much suffering these feelings may convey? If so, they would find that the full dimension of thought and feeling would transform, and they would be liberated from every form of psychological difficulty and immaturity. There is a great difference between how perception is taking place before and after the chakras are fully opened. As with all transformations, there is also a unique qualitative difference that can't be known beforehand. When the chakras are opened, the experiences of being aware out of them, not even of them so much as out through them. You cannot have a fully awakening of consciousness without the chakras fully opening. Nisargadatta said, follow the sense of I. Though he and Ramana Maharshi may articulate parts of the Western line of inquiry, this use, English translation of course, of the phrase sense of I is very telling. I do not base what I am going to say merely on this one phrase by Nisargadatta, but on my own experiences coming upon the basic Hindu enlightenment of being consciousness bliss. It is from this point that I find this phrase, the sense of I, to be so charming and significant. To follow the sense of I is not an inquiry that can be laid out with the intellect. Though the Hindu mystics will sometimes use parts of the above Western line of inquiry, it is because it is all they have that can be explained. What is so different and important is that following a sense of I leads one into the depths of intimacy. Doing so will reveal all of your thoughts and feelings on the way to a deeper place within consciousness. On this journey, you don't want to heavily identify with your thoughts and feelings, just as the Western line of inquiry goes. But this is not the core of what is happening. As you encounter your myriad feelings, thoughts, and perspective, your direction of attention must remain on the depth of intimacy, or on God, the divine or the transcendent. Notice that Nisargadatta says next to nothing about the path and what one goes through, because of the inherent simplicity of this intimate suggestion. Follow the sense of I. The beauty of this is that in looking to one's own depth, one will be led to the transcendent and your own transformation and come upon your union with God. There is indeed an insight that takes place in Nisargadatta's approach. I will use slightly different language than the Western tack. As you encounter the vast assortment of thoughts, feelings, etc., if your focus is on the transcendent or one's ultimate depth, the superficiality of thoughts and feelings will be seen. This is an extremely subtle insight that is not centered on its intellectual recognition. I feel that's significant. This insight is so subtle. It is why you can watch them. Here there is a blend of the path of the heart and that of the intellect. But by itself there is no such thing as a path of the intellect. This is why there is only one path in Christianity, the path of love. So what actually happens when you take the true Eastern or Christian path? And how does that differ from that arising from the Western erroneous interpretation of the Eastern path? The beauty of the question, who am I, is how personal it is. Notice they are not asking, in the beginning at least, the more profound question, what am I? It is because the former, who am I, points one towards one's sense of intimacy, or the sense of what is the deepest point in yourself that is important. See, that's what you need in meditation. One of the dimensions. Really, this intimate encounter with your consciousness. Asking who am I will generally take you into your feelings in the beginning, because feelings are generally experienced as the most intimate of our experiences. But if you are asking it, you will sense that there is something deeper than the feelings, provided that you're looking with great sensitivity, unswayed by any power the feelings may hold. This is equally true if you are pursuing the source of intimacy, for intimacy in the essence of self or consciousness rests at a deeper level than thought and feeling, and the depths of the self there is an encounter, and at the depths of self there is an encounter with the sacred. So you ask if you're following this sense of intimacy and you find feelings are so intimate, ask yourself if that intimacy is deeper than the feelings. Ultimately, intimacy is not found in anything. Well, first it will be found in feelings, and then it will be found at a deeper level. Peace and being might come next. The interesting thing about peace and being is that they don't arise or come through the intellect or the senses. There is something, anyhow, go through the bottom in this sense of intimacy. There's another problem with Westerners who are using the former line of questioning. The fact that this line of questioning is in their head and merely takes the form of a new perspective is that it can leave them undeveloped psychologically. Whereas the true Eastern line of meditation, who am I, will take you through a transformation where the psychological is addressed as one moves ever deeper into one's union with the divine. As previously stated, if you can truly say, I am not my feelings, as the Western interpretation proclaims, then your feelings could flow freely without impediment. There would not remain emotional immaturity. There is no path of insight or awareness that is independent of the path of the heart and emotional maturity. When thoughts and feelings can run their course without touching the essence of the meditation, right? Then a transformation can take place. In this, the Kundalini will be awakened. The prana will be liberated eventually, and the chakras will be opened fully. In the opening of the chakras, at first feelings will arise and needed to be attended to. Once you fully face the feelings, you can open up to the transcendent through each chakra. This is the full opening of human consciousness to the divine. Once the crown chakra is opened up, all the chakras will be harmonized, and there can be a singular experience of the transcendent. Now, Kundalini and the chakras are sometimes being dismissed in the Western approach, basically because they haven't experienced it, or the full opening of it. This is really, the chakras, see, are all related to consciousness, the energies of consciousness, and they even have their tie into the brain. These are the dimensions of consciousness, these chakras. And what you are going to find is that every dimension of a human being can open up into the divine. Each has a different sense to them. Down in the will, you will find a certain feeling sense of the transcendent. Brother Lawrence said there's a feeling sense and a seeing sense. And he's quite right. The feeling sense is down in the lower chakra. And you can feel the will down there in connection with the transcendent. Then, of course, the heart. The heart chakra. No one moves me more than Ramakrishna. His love of the divine. When I read his books, that one huge book, I can't help but see him in ecstasy, in that love of God. It's so beautiful. So anyhow, and then of course there's the throat one. It took me a long time to open up the throat one, and it does have to do with communication. I'm always surprised that what I would otherwise have thought were kind of, how do you say it? I don't know, New Age sentimental projections always turn out there. They're grounded in the Hindu, what the Hindus would come upon, and they're almost all it is real. It's beyond belief. Anyhow, and when this one opens up, it's a direct vision of God. And then when the crown chakra opens up, it's being consciousness bliss. Okay. And the opening up of the chakras, let's see, I read that. Full opening of human consciousness. Here there is unique, in the opening up of the crown chakra, here there's a unique experience of being, sometimes interpreted reality, but I generally find when the crown chakra is open, it's a sense of being. Back of the head, when that opens up, it's like nobody there. If you're walking, just scenery moving through, not moving through something, just scenery moving. The crown, that's kind of reality. And but the crown chakra is that sense of being. More human because every dimension of you is opened up, like they say. You know, it unites all the others. And some people are saying that the crown chakra is not really a chakra. It's a chakra. It has its own unique type of opening, but it does unify all the others. And some people are saying that's all it does, is opening up the others. It's not one in itself, but it is. Go a little further. Here there's a unique experience of being, or reality, in which everything that is manifested is experienced as self as consciousness itself. All is a non-dual experience of being consciousness bliss. This is far different and indescribably more profound than taking on a new perspective. There's no comparison at all. That people can take the misguided Western approach to inquiry and say that psychological development is different from spiritual development shows they have never come upon the true Eastern or Christian enlightenment. They have to push a little deeper. If you're not totally opening up as a human being, you're not coming upon enlightenment. Enlightenment is not some sort of totally non-human awareness. And this awareness that they think is so untouched by everything that occurs in it reminds me of space appearing as if it's untouched by all the objects in it. But as we know in relativity and quantum theory, everything affects space and time through its movement, through its weight, etc., etc. That's just relativity. And then quantum theory, it's even more complicated. So anyhow, if it doesn't include the human being, what's the point of it? Are you becoming unhuman because it's so universal? Are you ignoring human being? It's a human being that must become enlightened. And your relationship with other human beings. Anyhow.